soon as we take this photo, we can move on. Senator Canella.
Yeah, under motions and resolutions, I have a presentation of SR 12.
Secretary, please read.
Senate Resolution 12 by Senator Canella, relative to National Engineers Week.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, colleagues, as I've got some guests moving up here in the back. I rise today to present SR 12, which celebrates National Engineers Week from February 22nd to the 28th. As a civil engineer, I certainly respect all the many things that engineers do for our great country and all the achievement engineers have made throughout history. Engineers keep California at the cutting edge of leading industries and will continue to lead major advances through the 21st century. Engineers demonstrate the values of curiosity, passion, and dedication, answering problems in the most resourceful, economical, and innovative ways. Before he was president, engineer George Washington revolutionized agricultural techniques, and as president, he addressed the need for engineers and called for resources in aiding their education. We must start training the next generation of engineers today. I encourage my colleagues to take some time to view the photographic displays outside the governor's office of the 2015 recipients of the American Council of Engineering Companies of California prestigious Engineering Excellence Awards. The competition recognizes outstanding achievements in engineering and land surveying projects completed by California firms. The display highlights some amazing projects up and down the state. Also with me, I have several leaders in the industry. Katrina Barros, the past president of the Professional Engineers in California Government. Bruce Presser, the incoming president representing American Council of Engineering Companies. Ryan Kirsting, the board president. Krista Luza, board vice president, and incoming board president Don Shinsky, the executive director representing the Structural Engineers Association of California. Oscar Sereno, representing the American Society of Civil Engineers, and Eric Johnson on behalf of the Board of Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, and Geologists. So thank you again, colleagues, and I ask for your support on SR 12.
Members, debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. DeLeon. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Leno. Leno, aye. Leyva. Aye. Liu. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning.
Bernie.
Aye. Morell. Aye. Wynn. Nielsen. Aye. Pan. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Aye.
Call the absent members.
Allen. Aye. DeLeon. Aye. Lara. Aye. Liu. Wynn. Aye. Pan. Aye.
Ayes 36, no 0. Resolution is adopted. Senator Huff.
Mr. President, Republican caucus in the Cox Lounge, please.
Members, Republican caucus in the Cox Lounge. Caucus is out. We will reconvene. Moving to governor's appointments. Senator De Leon. Oh, yes, this is, members, file item number 5.
Thank you,
Senator
Mr.
DeLeon.
President. Colleagues, we have file item number 5 on today's agenda, an appointment from the governor for the California State University Board of Trustees. That is Ms. Deborah Farrar. Dr. Farrar was heard in the Rules Committee February 18th and approved on a bipartisan vote, 5-0. There was no opposition. Dr. Farrar has been on the Board of Trustees since 1999, and she has her master's in education from Cal State University Northridge and her doctorate in education from Pepperdine University. During her last 2 terms, Dr. Farrar has worked hard to improve collaboration between the higher education segments, that is the UC system, the CSU system, as well as the community college system, to include transfer rates and to diversify the student body population of the CSU system. Her experience and expertise are critical to this board as it continues working to meet the state's workforce demands and keeping the system accessible, affordable, and accountable to the young people of California. Mr. President, as well as colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on this item. Senator Nielsen.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I would urge a no vote. Over the number of years, the CSU system has been more than generous. I would almost argue reprehensibly generous in some of the salaries to their presidents and administrators. This individual has been a part of that continuing saga. I'm not speaking now in terms of the current chancellor, but the previous one. A few years ago in my office, he's in there whining, and I'm using that word, whining about the budget, and wanting almost unlimited amounts of money, wanted a blank check, give us whatever we want. And I raised the question about these salaries, because one particular president had just gotten a huge raise. Well, we had to recruit nationwide. And I said, you know, are you telling me that we are doing such a poor job at CSU that we can't bring up our own, but we have to go all over the nation to find people and then give them these big salaries? What are you talking about? Tell me what you're doing better. Now, this is not an argument of guilt by association. Farrar has been a part of that for a very long time. If you look at the administrative numbers in the budget of CSU and UC, how that has grown. Now, folks, that's not helping our youth. And particularly, I object to this at a time when we're putting a greater burden on our families, including my own, because I've got 3 boys. We're putting a greater burden on the citizens and absolutely on our students. So we just go merrily along. We do not do a good enough job in scrutinizing the budget. I certainly want to be a part of that, and I'm happy and have supported more money for both institutions, particularly CSU, that I'm a product of. But that price for me, henceforth, comes with some changes in what they do. It isn't just give us more money to do what we're doing and let us do more. And in the case of UC, if you don't, we're going to raise tuition. I find that particularly objectionable, and I think the citizens of California should too. And this is not just a guilt by association in this particular appointment. This individual has been around the system for a long time. And I would suggest to this individual, as I suggested to that former chancellor, it's time for them to do something else.
Thank you. Senator Anderson.
Senators, of all the votes that we take, sometimes these votes are the most important votes because they have the highest impact on our communities. And while there are many affluent areas of California, I don't represent one of them. The people that elected me are hardworking Californians that frequently live from paycheck to paycheck. They work very hard, and they learn, and they must live within their means. And yet, we went to the public and we said, as a body, that we needed Prop 30 because we needed more money for higher education, that these were important things, that we cared about students, and we wanted to ensure that our youth and anyone else that wanted to increase and improve their station in life, that we would help lift them to get to the next level by giving them that opportunity. If Dr. Ferrara was on that same path, I'd be the first aye vote here. But I suspect I'll be the first no vote. And the reason why is she's been a champion and a leader in the movement to raise salaries and perks for CSU chancellors and high-ranking officials. I don't care about that. What I care about the students. What I want is I want them to have more access, more opportunity, more livelihood, more future. This is the wrong path. We can't, every time we give more money to the CSU system, have them work diligently to ensure that pay raises are their top priority. That's not my top priority. My top priority are students. I want those students to have opportunity. I want them to graduate on time. And I want them to come to a healthy environment where there's plenty of jobs and plenty of opportunity here in California. And to turn around and say we don't have enough money for our education system and that this year we may have to backfill, what, so the chancellors live lavish lives? Look, I want talent, but I don't want to be extorted. Dr. Ferrara has had a tin ear to our students. She's had a tin ear to the communities that we represent. Now listen, if you represent a hoity-toity area, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I wish every California lived there, and had that opportunity, then by all means, this is a great move. But that's not who I represent. I represent hardworking Californians that have to live on a budget. And I expect the CSU system to live on a budget too. And when everyone else is taking a pay cut or losing their jobs in California, she was on the front lines fighting for increases for them. Not increases for opportunity for our students, but increases in opportunity for the chancellors and high-paid executives. It's time that we back the little person. It's time that we give them opportunity. You know, I get these are difficult jobs, but these people make more than double, and sometimes triple, what the governor of California makes. Governor makes $168,000, $172,000. These people are far in excess of that. They don't need another raise. They need to focus on getting our kids out and becoming productive citizens in our society. And for those reasons, I'm going to side today with the students, and I urge a no vote.
Senator Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I echo the comments of my colleagues. And on the campaign trail, one of the most common concerns that I heard was kids that came up to me and said, Mr. Stone, please do what you can to keep tuition under control because we're pricing education out of the realm of middle class and lower income people in the state of California. And I'm a firm believer in the public education system. I'm very respectful of the credentials of Ms. Ferrara, but I think we need to unify and promote restraint within the college system, the CSU, the UC system with these extravagant salaries, and dedicate ourselves to ensuring that we don't just talk about a 5% tuition increase at the UCs, that we talk about lowering tuition so that ordinary Californians can get the education that they richly deserve. At one time when you can go to state universities and it was free. And now with these extravagant salaries, they just pass on the cost to the students, which I think is unacceptable. And I too stand with the students of the state of California and doing what we can to demonstrate that we're not going to tolerate these high salaries at the expense of higher tuitions and stopping the opportunities for a higher education in the state of California for our youth. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Senator Mitchell.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As a sitting member of the Rules Committee, I had the opportunity to meet Ms. Farrar on one-on-one, as well as participate in the confirmation hearing, during which she and others that day received a unanimous vote for a confirmation recommendation to this body. A couple things I'd like to bring to the membership's attention. First of all, in the rules hearing that day, we heard brilliant testimony from the CSU student body leadership, a young man, African-American man who attends Cal Poly. And he was eloquent in his fundamental understanding of the role of the CSU trustees, spoke specifically about Ms. Farrar in that they served together in the executive search efforts for presidents for several campuses. So he had relevant work experience with this trustee. I think it's fair to say that all of us on this floor support students. I wouldn't suggest that any of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle support students any less. And my support of students goes so far as to say that I want the best and the brightest at the helm of the institutions in which they are studying. The 23 CSU campuses are major institutions with huge personnel issues, huge operational issues, huge building development, and they have responsibility for the hundreds of thousands of Californians who we entrust there to learn and grow and prosper. And so to suggest that the governor's salary should be the gold standard upon which we determine what's a true market salary for an executive position, I think is sophomoric. Again, I think that Ms. Farrar's long-term commitment to her service on the CSU Board of Trustees, she speaks passionately about having gone and attended many, visited many of the campuses, her understanding of the unique life experiences of the typical CSU student. She talked about working families and why it takes, the struggle some students experience in getting through their CSU tenure. And for all of those reasons, I would strongly encourage all of my colleagues to support this governor's appointment to continue her tenure as a CSU trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Leyva.
Good morning, colleagues. I, too, have the honor of sitting on rules, and I had the privilege of sitting down with Ms. Farrar. She did not once talk about salaries. Everything that we talked about centered around opportunities for the students, how they could do better, how we could help them to do better. I support her, and I also, Senator Nielsen, I've only been here 8 weeks, and every meeting we've sat in, you've talked about collegiality and the way we treat each other and how we say things. And I think using the words reprehensible and whining in your comments, I don't know if those were appropriate, but we all get to say what we want to say. And Mr. Anderson, I also represent hardworking Californians, as does everyone here in this room. And Ms. Farrar, let me remind everyone, serves for $100. So she does this job and works tirelessly and has worked tirelessly for $100 per diem. So, colleagues, I urge a yes vote.
Any additional debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, Senator DeLeon, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I appreciate the very robust dialogue on this appointment that's before us. A couple things I think is very important to note. One is that the Cal State University system now has in place very strict policies as it relates to how much a president of the 23 campuses throughout the state of California can be compensated. One, there is now a cap on salaries for all the Cal State University presidents. Two, they cannot make more than 10% of what their predecessor made. And lastly, we have new transparency requirements with regards to the full compensation package of all the Cal State University presidents. I think this was brought upon this legislative body to ensure we had transparency and to make sure we didn't have out-of-control salaries for the presidents throughout the state of California. These are good signs because these are internal reforms that have been put in place already at the Board of Trustees at the Cal State University system. Now, we need to attract the best and the most qualified to the state of California. This is the 7th largest economy in the entire world. And sometimes it is very difficult to compete with other states, University of Illinois, whether it's University of Maryland, University of Texas at Austin or El Paso or Houston and so forth. We need to make sure we get the best and brightest who are committed and invested in our students. I think clearly that all of us together stand with the students. And that's why we introduced Senate Bill number 15 that speaks to accessibility, affordability, and making sure these young students in the UC as well as the Cal State University system have an opportunity to succeed. We want to make sure that all individuals, regardless of who they are and where they come from, have an opportunity to have accessibility to the Cal State University system, which is very critical. We need to make sure that we work closely with the Board of Trustees. And moreover, and finally, I would say, is that Governor Jerry Brown, with his very well-deserved reputation of being very miserly with the fiscal purse strings of the taxpayers, would never, ever appoint someone who did not believe in his philosophy of holding down salaries for Board of Trustees or UC Regent presidents. As part of his philosophy, this is his appointment. To be very clear and to understand, again, that this is an individual who's exceptional, very well qualified, a very elegant woman, a woman who is very highly educated, Cal State University Northridge, Pepperdine University, PhD, a woman who's dedicated practically a good portion of her life to the students of the Cal State University system. With that, Mr. President, as well as colleagues on both sides of the aisle, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leon. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Anderson? No. Bates? No. Bell? Berryhill? Block? Aye. Canella? Aye. De Leon? Aye. Fuller? Aye. Gaines? No. Galgiani? Aye. Hall? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Hueso? Aye. Huff? Aye. Jackson? Aye. Lara? Aye. Leno? Aye. Leyva? Aye. Liu? McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mitchell? Aye. Monning? Aye. Morrell? No. Wynn? No. Nielsen? No. Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? Aye. Stone? No. Vidak? No. Wykowski? Aye. Wolk?
Call the absent
Aye.
members.
Wolk, aye. Bell? Aye. Berryhill?
Ayes 27, noes 8. The appointment is confirmed. Members, we are going to move to Senate third reading. We got a couple items, starting with file item number 9. No? Oh, correct. Apologize. File item 9 was moved to the inactive file. Moving to file item number 10, Senator Block. Pass on file. File item 11, Senator Fuller. Pass on file. Moving to, returning to motions and resolutions for adjourned memories, Senator Block.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I request that we adjourn today in memory of Erna Viterbi, who died on February 17th in La Jolla. Ms. Viterbi was 81 years old and the wife of Qualcomm co-founder and USC trustee Andrew Viterbi. She was a philanthropist and is the joint namesake of the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. Ms. Viterbi, who was Jewish, was born in 1934 in Sarajevo in the former Yugoslavia. As the USC News reported, Her brothers and her parents were fleeing the city as the German army moved in as a precursor to World War II. During their escape through Italy, her father, grandfather, and 2 uncles were almost taken captive by the Italian army in Montenegro after a troop carrier was blown up by partisans. However, an Italian officer showed compassion and let them go because he didn't want to see the young Erna cry at the sight of her relatives in handcuffs. Well, the family went on to safety in Parma, Italy, and then Switzerland to wait out the war before settling in California, and we all benefited from her survival. Erna married Andrew Viterbi in 1958 while Andrew was pursuing a PhD in electrical engineering at USC and also performing research at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It was during this time and with the strong support of his wife Irma that Andrew developed what has been known now as the Viterbi algorithm, which makes possible error-free digital wireless transmission. This algorithm is used for digital cell phone and satellite communication worldwide. His Viterbi algorithm led to the founding of Qualcomm and its leadership in digital communication. All of us who carry a cell phone today owe a debt of gratitude to Andrew and his wife, Erna. The couple were steadfast donors to USC and contributed a naming gift of $52 million to the engineering school in 2004, at that time the largest gift to any engineering school in the nation. The Viterbis also made other large bequests to USC over the years, including gifts to the Shoah Foundation and $15 million last year to support scholarship in engineering and in genocide studies. Their generosity wasn't limited to USC. Ms. Viterbi served in leadership roles in philanthropies around the world. The Viterbis supported educational institutions, health science research, veterans causes, and art organizations. Erna, who is recalled as a woman of humility and grace, survived the horrors of war and went on to nurture a family that helped to heal the world through her generosity of time and resources. We extend our condolences to her husband, her son Alan, the former mayor of West Hollywood, her daughter Audrey, and numerous grandchildren. USC will host a celebration of her life in early May, and I ask that we adjourn in her memory.
Thank you, Senator Block. Please bring the name forward to the desk so they can be properly memorialized. Members, seeing no other adjourned memory, Senator Leno.
For purpose of announcement,
Without objection.
the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review will meet in room 4203 at 10:45.
Members, the Senate Budget Committee will be meeting at 10:45. Yes. Members, an additional announcement. Tomorrow, Friday, is the last day to introduce bills. The desk will be open until 5 p.m. for the introduction of bills. Please make a note and inform your staffs. There appears to be no other business. Senator De Leon, the desk is clear.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I wish you a very good weekend, a productive weekend and a happy weekend with friends and constituents and loved ones. Colleagues, floor session will reconvene on Monday. Be mindful, not at 2 o'clock, but Monday at 12 o'clock. So please make your arrangements. I know, for some folks who live here, it's not going to be a problem, but for those who are in Southern California, please make your arrangements. Session will be at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Members, the Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Monday at noon.